This is Main Street with Gary Allen. Now, here's Gary.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to Main Street. Gary Allen with you. We've got a great show for you. Stockpile with sports, one way or the other. NFL, NCAA, college football, Major League Baseball. Up-to-date information courtesy of our good friend and co-host of this program. I don't like to use the word co-host because he's a host. My good friend from the PBA Tour, Mr. Dave LaMont.
Yeah, but what am I if not a co-host? I'm not the host.
Well, yeah, but I kind of look at you like that.
It's your name on the show.
I know, but I look at it like that, like you're the host. No, I mean,
that's all right.
I mean, if Jennifer's around, I don't want to make her upset, you know.
No.
By the way, how are things in Washington?
Cloudy. I have not been here very long to give you much larger of an assessment than that. It's straight from the airport to the hotel, so I haven't the slightest idea.
You went into Reagan, I presume, right?
Yeah, it's much easier for what we're doing. Dulles is out in the burbs, not convenient.
No, it's not. It's like in Chicago, O'Hare or Midway. I'll take Midway any day.
Oh,
sorry.
No. It depends on where I'm going.
Well, I mean, for me, I lived downtown Chicago. So
Okay,
Midway was much more convenient. You know, my wife, Gracie loved the ambiance of O'Hare Airport, and she never could get why I didn't. And I said, who was my dad? Oh, yeah, that's right. He was an airline pilot. Okay. All right. Where do we begin? We just were talking before we came on the air, so we might as well talk about it. They performed surgery on Zach Wheeler today from the Philadelphia Phillies. He has a blood clot in his shoulder. I don't know if it's his right shoulder or left shoulder. They are highly concerned about the gentleman. Forget his baseball career, but just concerned about him. Now, I know you had a blood clot, you stated, in your leg. So talk about what you went through in relationship to what he may be going through. And again, you just informed me something I didn't know, that they performed surgery on it. Why would they perform surgery instead of just trying to have blood thinners to thin it out and maybe dissolve it?
That I can't answer, but I'm going to assume that you have to be super careful with these things, and you have to jump on them immediately, because if you don't, they travel if it's not taken care of, and it can become a major problem if it travels to your heart. In my case, it was in the calf, and it was handled only with medication and some rest. And then everything's been normal ever since then. And I still take the thinners to this day, and that was 8 years ago, I think, or 7 years ago. So that's probably what he'll have to do. Other than that, I don't want to start risking anything. I did read a little bit about it before we went on the air, and he's had the procedure today. I don't think anything is life-threatening, but there's certainly no timetable to bring him back. I know they put him on that 15-day injured list, but I guess it's going to be longer than that. Travel, well, actually, I traveled within a week of spending a night in the hospital. They don't play either with a blood clot. I remember when it was diagnosed, I swear to you, 2 nurses rappelled from the ceiling of the emergency room with needles and hammered me with 2 shots as soon as they figured out what it was.
That had to be a sight. That had to be a sight to see.
It's pretty serious, but if it's caught in time, it should not be that serious.
Yeah, they can coast for a week to 10 days or so, 15 days. They've got a pretty good pitching staff. Nola, of course, got bombed yesterday. Had a six-run lead and gave up 6 runs. I don't expect him to be in shape for another couple of starts, but I think they can coast pretty good. They had another scare with their high-priced reliever that they got in from Minnesota, and he's fine. So, I mean, within reason, I think they'll be just fine. I still think they're going to take the East. The Mets are just falling apart completely. But there's another subject I want to hit on before we get into the standings and playoffs, etc. And that's the commissioner has brought up something for maybe a few years down the line of realignment, maybe doing away with the American League and National League and realign by geographical connections to cut down on travel, to cut down on expenses of travel. It would be like the Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox, Orioles, maybe in one division. Don't forget.
Well, DBTV. Philadelphia, Toronto would have to, but Toronto could be with Detroit. That's fairly
Yeah.
I mean, I saw a headline. I didn't hear about the splitting up or getting rid of league titles, which I would be very much against.
Yeah.
But if he wants to realign, that's okay. I think ever since we had this Houston and Seattle moving around and all the things that have happened, that I can live with. I just for the sake of some tradition, I would be perfectly happy if we just kept American and National leagues.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. There's something about that
Yeah,
sets, something that we grew up with. I think people are happy with it. Realignment, yeah, okay. It wouldn't be the first time that they've done something along those lines. They brought
sure.
the Braves out of the West and put them in the East, but that would put what? Atlanta, Miami,
Tampa,
Tampa Bay, no, would they
possibly Washington.
possibly or
But then
Houston?
again, why would you separate Baltimore and Washington
That's
when
another
they're
thing
that
too.
close to each other? In
Yeah,
like Philly and Pittsburgh, there's a gap, but
yeah,
Baltimore and Washington is not a gap at all. The two New Yorks together make sense.
yeah.
The Cubs and Milwaukee and the White Sox, that all makes geographical sense. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh being in the same makes geographical sense. St. Louis,
The
Kansas City would actually probably be pretty welcomed, but you'd have to
Yeah,
be leery of not screwing over your natural rivalries. Now, some of them are geographical. I think St. Louis, Chicago, and LA, San Francisco is a big one, of course. And then the
mhm.
Padres. I think the Padres hate the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers don't know the Padres exist. But you
Not
have
this
that.
weekend. Not this
Well,
weekend. They
no.
didn't.
But in general, I'm talking about and then what do you
Yeah.
do with, obviously having Houston and Texas together would be nice.
Hmm.
So there is some intelligence to this. I'm guessing if he's already mentioned it,
Yeah.
then they probably have a plan drawn up. But then you've got to get it through the owners, you got to get it through the union, and it's going to take time because you've already got plans probably being made for next season as well as future seasons. So
Yeah.
it's not the worst thing I've ever heard. If you want to try it, it might be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it could be, but I don't know. I'm with you. Keep American League, National League,
Yeah, what
East.
would the World Series be? I mean, how many divisions would there be, and how would you name them?
Well, I mean,
That's
like
the other part.
when we were growing up, there was no divisions. There was the American League, there was a National League. Whoever won the American League, National League, that's who met in the World Series.
Well, yeah,
There wasn't
you didn't have playoffs. You had
no,
the two winners met, and that was the end of it. And then they added teams, and then we started getting playoffs. And now we have a lot of people making the playoffs,
yeah,
and you have okay, fine if you want to expand it and give and if you can make money off of it, that's always the most important thing. So, and if
yeah.
they can make
Oh,
money off of it, they'll do it.
oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's just to me, I think there would be some teams who would play each other like 15 times during the season that people would be like, "Do I really want to see Seattle and
Well, that's the risk.
the Angels?" I mean,
Absolutely. It's a huge risk with that, but then you have that now. You have that now. You wanna tell me that you want tickets to a Miami-Washington game, for example?
no,
I mean,
no.
the Marlins caught fire for a little bit, but now they're 6 games below 500, I think, and sinking, in
Yep,
the playoff race.
yep.
Does it turn you on, to see, the Pirates and St. Louis, for example, or
Oh, the
Cincinnati?
Pirates.
Not really,
No.
so but it may end up having to, but on the other hand, the gold might be, getting more opportunities for the Giants and the Dodgers, for example. That's the one I think might be the best out of all of them because I just tired of Boston and New York.
Oh
And you
God.
would get more New York, which probably wouldn't be bad. I mean, we would be subjected to it on television endlessly if you
Yeah.
wanted to watch it, but there might be something there. And if on the other hand, the travel part that does make some sense as long as you don't completely destroy the Dodgers going east or an eastern team going west and all that. Then
Yeah.
we'll see what
You
happens.
know, I mean, the Phillies' rival is really the Mets. That's who their rival is right
Well, that's
now.
and there you go. You throw the two New York teams, Boston. How many teams in these divisions are there going to be?
Well, there's what, generally 4 now, maybe
There's
5
six
and some.
divisions, right?
Yep,
Right now.
yep.
So if we're going to do six again, then you could do a 16 week. Well, what do you got? 30 teams? 30?
30 or is it 32? Yeah, it
No,
shows how smart I
you got
was.
6 times 5, 30 teams. So if you're going
Okay.
to do six divisions again, you're going to do only 5. So why are
Yeah.
we doing this?
Well, they say for economic reasons to cut down on travel for teams, fuel prices being what they are, travel times being what they are, also cutting down on giving players more time to rest instead of traveling from San Diego to Philadelphia to play the Phillies, and you just played a night game in San Diego and you don't have the next
Well,
day off,
there's going to be a
that kind of
problem
thing.
with that in this regard. All right, so let's say you do this, and let's just say you have uh, Otani, and now all of a sudden you're telling me that not every National League city is going to get to see him because it
No,
costs too much to travel. Then you're screwing over fans from maybe a once a year opportunity. Now they may argue, yeah, but it's only once a year. It would only be
Mhm.
for 3 games. Are they really missing that much? So there's a downside in that regard.
Yeah.
Any superstar you have that can actually bring fans to the ballpark, I tell you who this would really potentially hurt, unless you put them in the right place, would be the
Mm.
Marlins, because they draw so much from the Northeast. So, and admittedly, they got a bit of an attendance bump when they were winning.
Yep.
But if you're going to take away the possibility, by the way, putting them with Tampa does nothing for either team.
No.
It's not like all of a sudden everybody in Miami goes, "Ooh, let's drive to Tampa 4.5 hours to go see a ball game." They don't do that, and I don't think they
No.
come down south either, because
They
those
don't
aren't
drive. They don't drive 45 minutes to see the Marlins.
right. So there's a weakness there that would not help that franchise in particular. You would have to have them in the same as with the New York teams and with the
Yeah.
Sox, but geographically, you're already crapping on your plan because it takes a 2.5 hours to fly to New York. Not that long, really, and but still. So I'd be curious to see what their. I would love to know, like, if somebody could show me what the plan that's sitting on his desk looks like now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And are we
Yeah.
talking about? Did he mention anything about expansion?
He said something to the effect of 2 more teams, yes, but he didn't designate when. He didn't
Yeah.
designate, possible cities. He just kind of sent it out there in the atmosphere, to
Well,
kind
that
of.
that I understand. I don't think he would mention cities, but you'd be looking at what markets are most likely. Possibly Charlotte,
Well,
possibly Nashville, possible. Well, you're going to have Vegas already in another couple of
well,
years.
well,
So,
Orlando is looking for a baseball
oh,
team, and I'm thinking, what an
why? They
incredible
have one.
stupidity.
They have one. They have
Well,
one.
it's not only that, but if you think about this, I mean, all right, the Magic in the NBA had a pretty good season this past year, and they may have a really good season going into next year. They were extremely competitive in comparison to previous years. But other than that, they have nothing going. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't really
Well,
care
they
for the
have no
city of
place to
Orlando.
play. They have no place to play, and they have a franchise. I mean, Baltimore, Washington are a little bit different, I
Yeah.
think, than Tampa, Orlando. Maybe
Yeah.
that's my bias, but
Well, they're older. Baltimore is an older franchise, because you live there, and I used to frequent there. Washington, of course, used to be the Washington Senators from way back when you were a young fellow, and when I was. And so there's a rich history there of baseball in the nation's capital, as well as there is in Baltimore. But to put it in Orlando, oh my God, please, I've never understood it. Here's one question I did want to ask you about the Marlins, and I think we talked about this once before. I have always felt that when the Marlins came into existence, they should have gone into the American League to begin with.
oh, I never had an opinion on that. But I see your point. If you're going to go with bringing who it brings into town,
Yep.
it would bring the Yankees in, which would be almost guaranteed sellouts or close to it. It brings the Red Sox in, who have a national following, but certainly have a northeastern and a southern following based on their successes.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but then again, the Mets aren't quite the same, but they're still a New York team. The Phillies bring some fans in.
Yep.
But I'm trying to think who else brings fans in, and really from out of town, the Cubs will
Cubs.
bring fans in
Yep.
nationally, and some people will come from the west coast of the state. For people who don't know, in Florida, it's kind of weirdly split that the east side tends to, especially in the south, tends to feature folks from the northeast who've retired and moved here, and the west side of the state tends to
The
feature
Midwest.
the Midwest, your
Yeah.
Illinois, your Wisconsin, your Michigan, and so forth. So the Cubs fans are very loyal, and they'll come over. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's years off. I'll be curious to see where any potential expansion teams may land. I think there'll be teams way higher on the list, cities way higher on the list than
Oh, please,
Orlando.
yes. Oh,
Growing
please,
markets.
yes.
Nashville is a growing market.
Yep.
Charlotte is solid, although they don't really support their basketball team because it's terrible. And
Mhm.
the Panthers might actually be almost good this year. So we'll see how they do. Then the Carolina Hurricanes are very well supported. So, and that's in Raleigh, not Charlotte, but that'd be
Would
interesting to see.
would they ever consider Montreal again?
I would love to see that. But there's no place to put them. You'd have to take that stadium. You'd have to take like Olympic Stadium and completely redo it. And I don't know if they want to spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
Whoever the owners might be, do you want to construct a new ballpark? Do you want to run that risk? And you talk about, let's not forget that these teams, they go to Canada and leave Canada. They do have to go through customs. The pro teams don't get exempted on that. So that
No.
adds to your travel. It's. I'm not saying it's a bad idea to have a team there. I think it would be PR popular, but I don't know how it would go in real life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, over the weekend, there were some interesting games going on. The Dodgers, they swept the Padres. Speaking of that, as we did just a few minutes ago, Dodgers have a nice one. The Brewers are just hotter than.
Yeah, they finally lost yesterday, in
Yeah,
fact. But
yeah,
it's interesting. It's everyone pronounced them dead when Craig Counsell split and went to Chicago, and they
yeah,
lead the Cubs by 8 games right now. And they're having this kind of magical season where they're overcoming these enormous deficits to win games, or they're just
yeah,
blowing you out the door. They're winning in every way possible. Now,
yeah,
we say this on August 18th.
yeah,
Come back with me at the end of September. Let's see if they still have that nice 8-game lead, and let's see if they're very well positioned to make the playoffs. They have the best record in the National League,
yep.
so it seems almost certain they'll be in the playoffs and a very good chance to win the division. But I just want to see it happen. It's interesting, Gary. I'm finding that the regular seasons in sports are mattering less to me than they used to,
Yeah.
um, because I'm like, just get to the playoffs. Can we get to what really counts? But of course, in order to get there, we got to go through all of this.
Well, it's the
And
same as it's the same as like the NBA or the NHL.
yeah, I think so because of the length. It's so many days together and so much time. And but it's I want to see results, not talk. That's why the preseason part of football, college and pro, makes me a little batty. But here
Mhm.
we have evidence that this is obviously a good team. I'm looking at 78 and 45, so that's how many games played. 123 games. So we're
Yeah,
nearly end.
yeah,
There's 39 to go.
yeah.
So
And when they get into that final 15 games, unless you're going to be a spoiler team, it's kind of like my bags are packed and I'm ready to go.
yeah,
I'm
for the
ready
for
to
the
go home.
teams that are bad, right? And at this point, they're doing what a lot of others are doing. They're calling up their prospects. When we're almost at that time when September brings up, the minor leaguers are going to get their shot. Baltimore, you mentioned them, called up their number one prospect just yesterday and played him right away. They called up another guy the other day. They're playing those guys right now as they try to figure out if they can play at
Hmm.
this level. So Milwaukee's obviously not going to do that, but we'll see. As we expand the rosters in September, what these other teams end up with, and you might have somebody who goes in there and goes, "Hey, we got a bunch of kids here who don't care who you are," and
Yeah.
they take 2 out of 3 at a critical time. It could tilt the season, but
Oh,
we'll
sure.
see what happens.
Sure. The Phillies are 6 games up on the Mets. The Mets have really, last couple of days have
I
started
hate
to
to break
really
it to
get.
you.
Hmm.
It's 5.
No, the Phillies won last night.
Yeah, but I've got it at 5 right here, according to my
Oh,
eyes.
okay. Well, did the Mets win last night? I know they were.
You're making me work now.
Well, I
Making me
always make
work.
you. I
I've
always
got
make you.
I've got it at 5.
Okay. All right.
So
5 games. But the Phillies had to work hard to get it because they start
yeah, the
off
Mets
six to
won.
nothing.
Mets won comfortably.
Yeah, yeah, and they are starting to hit again, but their pitching has let them down. The guys they brought in during the
Mhm.
deadline have not done well for them. They've actually had some problems with them, lasting innings, giving up runs. In the American League, the Blue Jays and then we have the Red Sox, which are 5 back. Then you have the Yankees, which are 6.5 back. At least they were yesterday. Now, what it is today, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think you. Let's see. That's 5.5 on my card.
Okay, all right. And then in the Central, the Tigers are 8.5 up on Cleveland, and I don't see the Tigers are
No,
hot
no,
again.
no. They're hot again. We know it's funny. The last time we did this, you said they were hot, and I quickly pointed out they had lost 12 of 13. And right about after the time we signed off, they
Yeah.
started playing the kind of ball again that they had been playing. And that's another charming story, like Milwaukee. I think
Hmm.
people kind of enjoy watching these although Detroit is definitely a legacy franchise.
Oh yeah.
Teams other than New York and Boston, both New York's and Boston and Cubs probably, although do well. It's kind of fun. But again, will they break through? And if they do, then we'll hear everybody cry and complain that the ratings won't be high enough.
The Astros are the Astros as they have been. They're only a game and a half up, or they were on the Mariners.
They had a little tough time at home against a certain ball club that gave up 2 weeks ago during the trading deadline. So.
Oh yeah. The Mariners take on the Phillies for a 4-game set. I'll watch that game tonight. Then the Rangers are 8.5 back. People are not counting them out, but I just don't know how they're going to overcome that. They've gone through some. The Phillies took them 3 straight, or 2 out of 3 rather.
So they're struggling. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They did beat the Blue Jays yesterday, but they're not as fearsome offensively as they were the last few seasons.
I mean, is there? I mean, other than maybe the Tigers, my Phillies, the Brewers, the Dodgers, are there any teams that you kind of look at and go, "Whoa"? Now,
yeah, Seattle. Seattle was hyper aggressive at the trading deadline. They've got the major league home run hitter in Raleigh. It's a team that seemingly made every possible good move, and so I think that they're a team that bears watching. They're battling with Houston for first right now. It's fairly close, so that's a team I would not ignore at all.
Dave Lamont's joining us here on Main Street. Gary Allen with you. Wild card in the American League. The Red Sox are up a game and a half on the Mariners. The Mariners are a game. Well, they're kind of tied. They're both at a game and a half, rather. Yeah. Excuse me. Cleveland is 2.5 back, and the Royals are 4 back, which is kind of interesting. In the National League, the Cubs are 4.5 up. The Padres are 4 up. The Mets are even at this point, and the Reds are a game and a half back, and the Cards are 4.5 back. The Cards have been struggling. They've been winning a little bit here, but they'll win 2, lose 2, win 2, lose 2.
They're not that good, and I'm a little surprised the Reds are in contention because they don't hit the ball well. And they're above 500. They certainly have a mathematical chance, but there's just something about that team that doesn't move me at all.
They took the Phillies 2 out of 3. I mean, they did a number on the Phillies. I watched 2 of those games.
Okay.
And I wish we could expand on that a little bit, but I still think the Phillies will win the East. I know it's a long way to go yet, and the Mets have yet to be heard from. If Zach gets back, if Nola gets in his prime, like he usually is towards the end of the season, we could be in good shape. Walker's even actually pitching better than he has in a long time. He lost yesterday, but only he lost 2-0. So I blame that on the Philly bats more than anything else. Mm-hmm. They're just, Phillies are either hot or they're not, like any other Major League Baseball team. So, we will see what happens. Right around the corner is also college football. Before the program, Tommy read off to me, that Notre Dame has an overwhelming odds favorite to beat the Miami Canes, our Canes down in Hard Rock Stadium. Are you going to the game?
Absolutely not. Why would I do that? Have you tried to go to games lately? It's not fun. And parking down there, it's so interesting for people who may not know that Hard Rock Stadium is also the home of a Formula One track and a tennis center. So the parking down there has gotten to epically rough proportions. Wow. And it is extraordinarily unfun. By the way, that's only 2.5. I don't know where his spread is. And to me, 2.5 is not an overwhelming number.
Well,
go ahead.
2.5 to me is overwhelming when it comes to this rivalry.
No, I don't think so. 2.5 is nothing, and I think that number is going to go down because who's the quarterback going to be for Notre Dame?
Yeah, that is the question mark.
It's a major question mark. I mean, look. I understand that Beck is coming off of Tommy John surgery. So I still consider him a question mark, and that probably irritates anybody who's pro UM because what do you mean? He was at Georgia, he won I know he won a bunch of games at Georgia, but not a lot of quarterbacks have Tommy John surgery. Now it's different, obviously, than a pitcher because if he was a pitcher, he wouldn't be playing this year. So the demands on the arm are completely different. I understand all of that. I don't want to judge him yet. I need time. I need evidence to judge this guy, to look at him as a quarterback, obviously, but On the other hand, I'd much rather have a guy like him under center in a game which will have a big crowd, which will
Mhm.
have an atmosphere, which Hard Rock Stadium does not always have for a Miami
Mhm.
Hurricanes game,
Yeah.
and against a team that doesn't have an experienced quarterback available. Their heir apparent after Riley Leonard splits and goes to Syracuse, strangely, and
Mm.
now they are looking at, well, I don't know who you want to go with. What about this guy? I don't know. Now maybe they have already decided and they're just playing games. That's very possible for Marcus Freeman. I don't know. He seems like a pretty straight shooter, but he may be doing his own little thing there to mess. But don't tell me the
Yeah.
Hurricanes coaches aren't prepping for both quarterbacks, because they are.
Yeah.
Any high school coaching staff would do that.
Yeah.
So I'm actually mildly optimistic of Miami winning that game. I don't know if Notre Dame's defense will be as good. And the other thing is, not the other thing. I don't know if this is going to make any difference as far as who wins or loses the game, but this is yet another opportunity to change the Miami narrative to the good, not the bad. And if they toss this game in the trash again, then it's going to be another year of, Cristobal can't coach. He can read all the same things that have been said over the years. So this is a wonderful opportunity, and they're going to get a few to this year to change all of that. Oh, it's just going to be another 7-5 team that's going to wind up in the Bluebonnet Bowl, which of course we know doesn't exist anymore. But
It shows our age.
well, it's just, and the problem with it is it's an accurate narrative.
Yeah.
You
No,
just
you're
can't
right.
say it's a bunch of haters, man. They're haters. No, it's based, again, as I like to do things, based on reality, based on what has actually happened. So it's a tremendous opportunity. Um, if you gave me, 10 cents you found on the sidewalk, I would throw it on Miami as an underdog at home at 2.5. That means you're telling me that at a neutral field, Notre Dame is almost 6 points better. And if this game were in South Bend, that spread might be 7, which
Yeah.
seems high to me. I think that shows a lack of confidence in Miami. Notre Dame was a legitimately really good team last year, but they had a legitimate quarterback, and they don't have one right now. And what's the most important position in the frickin' game? Quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They're ranked 6th preseason.
Mhm.
Miami's ranked either in the top 10, depending upon who you talk to, or they're ranked in the number 16 or 15 or something like that, as far as it goes. The only thing that I want them to beat Notre Dame is, I hate Notre Dame. I absolutely, positively, it's like my brother when he went to Duke, he couldn't stand North Carolina, and
Yeah.
for obvious reasons. When I worked in Chicago and I was in the Attorney General's office, I worked with a lot of kids who graduated from Notre Dame. Now, my boss, the Attorney General, went to Illinois, went to law school at Illinois, and he turned to me one day when we were traveling around and he said, "How are those Notre Dame kids to work with?" I said, "Insufferable." I said, "They're like Florida Gator kids. They're insufferable. They think they're entitled." He said, "That's why I stay away from them." I really do stay away from them. But yeah, I saw a thing on Notre Dame. They think the offensive line at Notre Dame is going to be big enough to take care of anything that comes in their direction. I know that we've improved the D line. We couldn't have gotten any worse towards the end of the season with that D line or the defensive backs. We have a new coordinator. Hopefully, he's implemented some things that will offset what lack of what we had last year,
Yeah.
which was pass rush and blitzing and a few other packages that I'd like to see on our defensive side. So, we'll see exactly what happens. But
And that
here's
may
the
be
top.
why the favorite is Notre Dame, because you brought up some excellent points to go against Miami. It was a mediocre defense. They really
Yeah.
haven't had a good defense in a while. And what's the other thing you don't have is a magician at quarterback in Cam Ward, who, although he had some terrible moments, for the most part had mostly good ones. And Beck doesn't have that kind of movement. That is for
No.
sure.
No.
So that's the part of it that I think Hurricanes fans are going to miss. And they're going to miss. Now, you're right. So you might have a defense that would hopefully be better if you're a Miami person against a quarterback that has no anything. So that's a giant question mark in this game. And I don't know whether their plan is just to go all Michigan on them and run the ball 75 times or not, but we'll see.
Yeah. By the way, there was one question I've been meaning to ask you. Martinez, the running back from last year, where did he go
He
in
went
the
from
NFL?
Oregon State to Miami. Is he out of football?
I don't know. It's something I've been trying to find out where he went in the NFL, if he went anywhere. He was certainly good enough to go somewhere, and I was shocked at the end of 5 rounds that I didn't hear his name called, and because he was a good running back.
Damian Martinez was selected by the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, that would be homegrown in a way because he went to Oregon or Oregon State
Oregon
rather,
State.
and
He was picked 223 in round 7. And so that's why you probably didn't hear about him.
oh, okay, all right, but Miami's got some good running backs. They've got some good things going for
Well,
them.
they need a healthy Mark Fletcher Jr. That's one thing. If he's
Yes.
healthy, he's great. He had one season that got ended prematurely, and then last season he didn't play all the games. So he's going to end up being a really critical part of this offense, especially if Beck struggles. You don't have a couple of people that we can rely on anymore at the receiver position. So as there always is in a first game.
Question marks.
Yeah, that's why some teams like Florida get to open with Long Island U or Long Island Brooklyn, and some teams choose Ohio State, Texas, for example, Alabama, Florida State.
Yeah.
I can see it, especially now today when they're talking about expanding playoffs, and some schools, especially in the Big Ten, are dumping or not scheduling anymore good opening game opponents, so they can get the easy dub and not damage their playoff chances.
Yeah, but I think they're starting to learn that may backfire on you because in the end they go, well, who did you really play? Who are in the top 10 that you played?
Yeah, that's fair because that's what killed Alabama when they lost to a bad Oklahoma team. That was their last straw, and they didn't just lose; they got beat by I think it was 10 points.
Mhm.
And Oklahoma, I watched some of that game, beat them. I mean, it wasn't like no, it wasn't lucky. They were better. Period.
Yeah.
And
Oh, absolutely.
that's that knocked them loose. So it's an interesting thing. It damages the game in a way
Mhm.
because we'll be deprived of good opening weekend matches. There will always be some schools will take chances, but uh, that's going to hurt the game. But then again, if you're the AD or the head coach, you're like, hey, we lose this game, the narrative shifts on us immediately. Give me a dummy team that wants to make $900,000 for their program. Sign them up.
Yeah, that's why I think it's extremely important for our guys to get off to a good start against Notre Dame. If we beat Notre Dame, even if we beat them by 3 points with the second to go on the clock, I
Just
don't
win the
care. We
game.
win.
Yeah,
We
just win
win.
the game.
We
I
win.
don't. Yeah, I don't know if they. Well, I guess they still count how you win, but
Yeah.
I just like you to win.
Well, considering Miami's ranked 10th or lower than that, even
Yeah.
at some point, and Notre Dame is like 5 or 6 in the country, Miami beats them. That kind of puts them in a nice little position for at least the beginning of the season. We see how it unfolds as we get into week 7 and 8 and 9. You brought up something interesting, and then you sent me the information on this. The Manning
Yeah.
awards. No mid-school quarterbacks, mid majors at all. And then Archie makes a comment that Arch will be returning to Texas next year, regardless of the NFL draft. He's going to be
It looks
returning.
that way. Yeah, that's what they said. Well, so the interesting thing is it's then the three of the guys who are on the board. It's Archie, it's Eli, and Peyton are also all on the board. And I did a
Yeah.
little bit more research because there were some big name quarterbacks on there. Clay Kubnick, the kid from Clemson, Nussmeier
Yeah.
from LSU, but there were a lot of middle-sized programs on there. And I looked closely on the list. Now, one of the reasons Carson Beck is not eligible is that he transferred. So I think I'm not sure transfers are allowed. But I was surprised that Lagway from Florida is not on there. They have very high hopes for him there this year. As he goes,
Yeah.
they go.
Yeah.
If he turns out to be the talent they thought he was, and he certainly showed some of it last year, other times not so much. But their schedule is brutal. But the interesting thing about Arch, I guess, I mean, why would Archie say a thing like that? He's known as a stand-up guy. The other
Mhm.
interesting thing to me is I don't have it in front of me, but at one
Mm.
time he was the betting front runner for the Heisman. You realize if you look at his career statistics, he has not played that much.
No.
This is really taking a chance on his potential and what is expected of him more than most quarterbacks I can remember in the last few years. We all got excited with Cam Ward last year if you're a Miami guy, but we knew his background. He had come in,
Yeah.
he had produced at 2 other schools at a high level when he
And
showed
and
up.
and the mere fact of what he did in the first game against the Gators, of course, tickled you and me to no end,
Well,
personally.
yeah, there's that, but Manning, he's played. I think the toughest team he's run into so far is Mississippi State, and now he has to go to
True.
Columbus and start a game. and
and
with a team that's ranked number one.
yeah,
So
and
there's no,
the guy he replaced had a nice preseason the other day with the for the Dolphins.
yeah, Quinn Ewers should be the number two quarterback there, even though Zach Wilson allegedly is the preference of the coaching staff. But if you go by just preseason performance, it won't shake out that way. But it's fascinating. The Manning thing is fascinating. This is another thing I think is one of the better subplots.
Right.
There's very few college athletes in any sport who are probably better positioned to handle the spotlight than he is.
Oh, yeah.
I think he also probably gets some pretty sound advice. And
Mhm.
and also, I think Texas has an excellent coaching staff, and he's getting that advice as well, and living in a bubble down there because obviously that's a big deal in Austin. So it's in a national bubble, but I'm kind of rooting for him actually to succeed, um, just to see what happens and see if that really does happen. If he goes and has a gigantic 2025 and
Mhm.
takes Texas a long way, does he really enter the draft? Or is what his granddad said, "Hey, I ain't doing this
But
until he said he's ready."
the interesting part, Dave, as you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, all right, if he has a great 2025, but he does come back for 2026 and he has a very, very good season like his uncle did, Peyton did when he stayed at Tennessee. Um, and then comes the NFL draft. And you know, and I know if he's done two great seasons in college football, guess where he's going? To the worst team in, one of
Well,
the
yeah,
top
but he's
three.
got to go sometime. I mean, I don't know if we're going to have a rerun of what happened with Eli in San Diego. That would
Yeah,
be very surprising.
that's the
That would
direction I
be
was going in.
pretty surprising. And the other thing that's interesting about Arch is let's not forget that if he does go back to college, he's making coin now.
Mhm,
It's not
mhm.
like he's poor, and he's getting, I'm sure, a very nice NIL deal. And I would be mildly surprised if we didn't see him in some commercials this year during the college football season. I don't have any knowledge of that, but if he pops in one, don't faint. So, yeah, it's a different situation than what Eli went through. That kind of heavy-handed, and John Elway did the same thing.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm not going to the Colts. I'm going to go play baseball, and he
I
did
didn't I
sign with the Yankees.
I didn't understand it. I really, as a Colt fan, I really disliked Elway. I'm not a big fan of his now, but when I actually met him in Las Vegas at a card signing ceremony, I spoke to him. I told him who I was. I explained to him who my brother was.
Hmm.
And I said, please take me through. He said, would you like to play for that head coach and that franchise at the time?
Who
And I
was
said,
coach at
no,
the time?
that was Frank Cush.
Oh, that lunatic.
Yeah, Frank Cush. And he said, do you really want to play for Robert Ursay? He said,
See?
and I said, well, my brother Mike even said, I don't blame him for what he's doing. Mike was always a business guy. He's always, when the Colts moved, he said, it's a business deal, Gar. It's, yeah, the people in Baltimore are upset about it, but too bad. It's business.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that attitude anymore. But no, I get it. And so I think Zach has many advantages that almost no other college quarterback has ever had, ever.
Yeah.
So I really think he'll be well prepared for whatever that next step will be. But let's just see how he responds at the Horseshoe, and how he responds to some of the other games they have to play. His first real Oklahoma game,
Right.
playing Florida, playing some of the other teams that they're going to have to play.
Yeah.
And believe me, you'll get to see a lot of them. I'm quite sure that every network has Texas in large letters and in prime time as much as
Oh yeah.
possible.
Oh yeah, and the number one broadcast team. Switching over to the NFL just for a moment. Speaking of prodigies and not prodigies, but kids, Shanor Sanders showed himself in the first exhibition game pretty well.
Hmm.
They still have him on the depth chart at 4, even though 3 of the guys in front of him, or 2 of them, are injured. But Pickett seems to be the guy. But who is it? Who is it? Who is it? I'm
Well,
trying to think
Dylan
of his
Gabriel is the kid,
Gabriel.
the old
Yeah,
UCF kid who wrecked his
yeah.
knee a few years ago. Sanders, I don't think played the last game because he's hurt.
No, no. Gabriel showed some real spunk. He showed very well for Cleveland. But, again, it's the Cleveland Browns. Okay. I'm
Well,
sorry.
they're a story because they screwed themselves over with the contract with Deshaun Watson, and they're going to
Yep.
eat that for a while.
Yeah.
But I'm actually rooting for Sanders to succeed here because I think so much was piled against him when he had to wait so long to be drafted that it kind
Hmm.
of turned, at least in my mind anyway. A lot of people took a lot of pleasure out of that, and I found that to be a big turnoff. For me.
But he brought it on himself. I mean, the
Somewhat, and I
stories.
think some of it was directed to his dad too.
Well, I mean, he literally was interviewing with the New York Giants. And in the middle of the interview, he was already being snotty to begin with, I'm
Mhm.
told by a friend of mine who is with the NFL Network, and I believe him. And he said in the middle of it, he got a cell phone call from a girlfriend. He said, "I got to take this." He took it and never. 20 minutes later, he returned, and when he came back in, he said, "Hey guys, are we done here?" And that was
Yeah,
it.
well, that's going to work. And that's all bad. But I, I don't know. I just thought it was too. It was overwhelmingly negative, and the joy was overwhelmingly twisted. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna see what happens. And I don't think he's going to start the year. I think we'll see him. I think their situation is such that you have an opportunity here to bring him along slowly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like, and I realize the personalities and the styles of play are different. It's a little bit like when the Colts and Peyton Manning, they
Uh,
decided to throw him out there.
yeah.
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry. For about 2 years, you are going to get your teeth knocked out of your nose, but he'll learn. Other guys have been brought along slowly. There's two ways to do this, and it looks like they're going to take the slow route,
Yeah.
and maybe not subject him to getting his butt beat as badly as some of the younger quarterbacks have had.
Well, Polian with Manning, the first year they were 3-13 with Manning.
Yeah, I remember seeing him
Polian
play in Miami.
Polian started getting offensive linemen and defensive linemen for that team. The next year they were 13-3, and Manning was all over, and it started. It started,
Yeah,
and I don't think they ever had a losing season under Bill Polian when he was the GM. I know the Buffalo Bills were highly successful. Carolina was successful under Bill Polian, but they were what they were. But it is what it is. Jumping back now, real quick. I think Pickett is going to end up probably being the
okay.
interim guy at number 2 in Cleveland.
Yeah,
I
then
just do.
as a number two guy or starting over Flacco,
Uh,
because they're going to have to probably get rid of one of
they're
these
going to
guys.
trade one of these guys, and it could be Pickett. Okay, I'm saying that, but it could be Pickett or it could be Flacco. It could be one or the other, and then they go with Gabriel and whoever they
Boy,
of those two.
you're going to get a used punting machine for Flacco.
Yeah,
So I don't know what kind of value you're going to get. You're going to, but one guy's going to be the emergency, third guy. I think that'll be Sanders to start. But I'm maintained that he will play this year.
yeah. I mean, if they've learned anything from a team, they should have learned from the Colts with their quarterback situations, the way they've been, and that still isn't settled. And I still hope and pray they'll trade Richardson and get rid of him finally, because this kid is never going to be. He's not. He just upstairs. It's not there. The same person from the NFL Network went
Yeah,
to their
yeah.
training camp and said, "Gary, he's not there. He's not
The
upstairs.
he
He's not
was
there."
It was an interesting pick because it was primarily done on athletic potential, of
Yeah.
which he has an enormous amount of.
Yes, he
Their
does.
situation is pretty grim because their backup or their lead guy is Daniel Jones, and that's not exactly going to get you into the playoffs either.
No.
So this probably going to be a very difficult year for that team.
Them and the fact that Jim is no longer around. His
Well, that's
daughters are
another
running
thing
the
that's
team.
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the daughters are pretty hip. I mean, the one that's really running the team. There's one that lives out in the outskirts of Indiana on a farm, and she's quite content to be there. She comes into the office a couple times a week. And then there's the third daughter, and she's kind of there and she's not there and stuff like that. But this is make or break it for them. They've got a
Mhm.
pretty good defense, but this is a make or break it for them.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
probably going to be broken. I mean, they may have to go back to the board at quarterback if Richardson really doesn't pan out. And he's already been nicked a little bit this year in camp with his
yep.
thumb. I think he was injured and he came back.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I guess they have to try one more time
Yeah.
and
You got to give
see.
him one more year,
Yeah,
but
I
that's
think
it.
so too. I think it's one more year, and you're already calling Archie Manning to see if he was just kidding.
Yeah, and then for the GM, I don't know how much longer they can put up with that.
Fair
The
point.
guy knows how to draft, but he's not done well in the last couple of years. Although, take away the quarterback situation, they're pretty good in a lot of different areas,
Mhm.
but they're just not. And of course, here we're saying that no one except for Andrew Luck could have replaced Peyton Manning. No one.
Well, and he did.
He did until the GM at that time who came from out of nowhere to my buddy from the NFL Network, said, we didn't even know who he was in Philadelphia. We never heard of the guy. And he didn't address the offensive line. So Luck got beat up and finally said, timeout. I've had enough of this.
Yeah,
and Robert
they had
and
a couple of good years for him too, but he made the decision that I think turned out well for him. He's back in football
he's
at
up
Stanford,
Yep.
and kind of running the show, even though he's not the head coach.
Yeah.
So let's see. There's a guy I think is another person who's very easy to root for, and so let's hope it works out for him.
I like Andrew. He's a very highly intelligent man. Obviously, gone to Stanford because Stanford is like the Harvard of the West Coast, I believe.
Stanford is the Harvard of. Excuse me, Harvard is the Stanford of the East.
Oh, there you go.
I'm very pro Stanford. That would be my ideal school.
Huh.
Great location.
Well, you were intelligent enough. You could have gone there.
Yeah, sure.
Are the Dallas Cowboys finally no longer a football?
Do we have to?
One last time,
No,
please. And
no,
I David, I promise.
Nope. Let's talk about the Kardashians.
Are they
more interesting?
All right.
No,
all right.
are they what? All right. Look, here's what's good. Let's see.
Are they a football
let's
team
see what
anymore?
affects Dak's legacy. Gosh, can CeeDee Lamb do this? Gosh, is Jerry doing this? Gosh, did he hire the right coach?
It's a soap opera.
I know, but America's tired of it. Now, if they end up winning, great. Good luck to the new coach. He carries a great family name with him. But at some point there'll be more BS. The problem is their BS gets more attention than other teams' BS. Yeah. And it's gotten to be too much. If you want me to get to my DVR and watch Perry Mason reruns, put the Cowboys and the Giants on Sunday Night Football. And a level of interest that can't be measured in negativity. I've had it with those guys.
Yeah, I did too. Speaking of which, I meant to mention this when we were talking about the UM. There was a thing on the news today that Ray Lewis is going to be a senior coach for the University of Miami.
Meaning what?
They didn't say if he was going to do linebackers. He's going to do DBs.
Full-time, like Jason Taylor became full-time coach, or like an advisor?
No, he's going to be there. He's going to be there on the sidelines every game.
Well, I'm talking about, is he going to be in an office every day? Is he there breaking down film with these guys?
It just was announced.
24 hours a day.
Well, he misses it. Something awful. He really
I believe that. I completely believe that. I'm just now. I looked him up, and the first thing that came up is I guess his nephew died today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His nephew, his name is Keyshawn Wilder, was a coach at a small school. Passed away. So I have not seen anything other than that on him. But look, if the advantage as a coach he will have is that these younger players, and sometimes they probably look at an older legend and go, who the hell are you? But I think that name still will resonate. Let's think. If you're trying to work with a 20-year-old, Ray Lewis, I think, is around 50. So did you watch Ray Lewis play at his peak, say, 2000?
But there's a legend there. There's a legend there.
You weren't born. So this is your dad's linebacker. On the other hand, you have somebody with a tremendous passion for his alma mater and obviously knowledge of the game. And let's see if he can communicate it.
Dave Lewis is joining us. Dave LaMont is joining us on Main Street. Gary Allen.
If it makes it easier for you, Gary, whatever.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, you are a man of many talents. I mean,
as Larry David would say,
Okay. The story that is kind of interesting. ESPN bought the NFL Network, and in return, ESPN gave the NFL Network like 10 or 20% of their stock. They didn't discuss how much it's going to do, but it eventually, as we have discussed before, pay-per-view is going to become more predominant in sports in all leagues, not just the NFL or college football or the NBA. It's all going to eventually end up being pay-per-view. And in order to watch any sports, we're going to have to pay money.
Well, we are anyway. It's interesting. We were talking a little bit about this before we hit the air about how this is going to affect everybody. And I'm trying to figure out where all this stuff is going to go. Now, ESPN also just entered into a deal. It's going to come out with an app with Fox that's going to be $31.99 a month, something like that. And I'm not sure what they're putting on there, but you have you're going to start, if you don't have apps, if you're not in that app generation, you're behind. So that's one thing right off the bat. Where it's all going to go, for example, Red Zone, as people knew it, I've just read today, is going to have commercials. Well, that's a first.
That is
So
a first.
the whole thing with the NFL Red Zone was you could go, oh my gosh, let's go to LA because the Rams are at the 3-yard line against Denver. And
Mhm.
right after that, you go, oh my gosh, here are the Eagles. They just intercepted a pass and now they're in the red zone taking on the Giants. And let's go. And that was the whole thing. You could go without interruption if necessary. Well, it was always necessary. But now it might be, hey, the Vikings are at the 5 with 2 minutes to go, and we'll be right back after this word from Lexus or whatever. So
they do that all the time to me on the MLB.
Remember, there's no such thing as the MLB. You mean MLB Network?
The MLB Network.
Okay,
last night they did it to me.
Fine for saying the MLB.
The Phillies had 2 outs. The count was 2 strikes, no balls. Hey, we got to go away for a break here. When we came back, they finally said, yeah, the Phillies won 11-9. But it was like, what are you doing? You're going to be gone for 20 minutes.
I don't know how that is all run, but that's one thing that's going to happen. Eventually, look, ESPN will farm some of that program out, and it's going to end up on pay-per-view. It's going to end up on Disney Plus, just like what's happened with the NBA TV deal, which is going to be on Amazon Prime and Peacock, totally separate because Peacock is run by NBC. Plus, you're going to have, the ESPN angle, the ABC angle, the NBC angle. So the NBA is going to have ABC, NBC, ESPN, then Peacock and Amazon Prime. That's 5 outlets.
Yeah.
All right. 2 of them are not, we say free, but you're still paying for cable or, And now what's the other thing that's happening, Gary, and we're not really part of this, obviously, is the younger generation is seeing television as we never saw it. So they're seeing it as, why do I need these channels of these network channels that I never watch these sitcoms? I don't watch the 6 o'clock news. That's for old people. So their YouTube TV is hot right now, Roku, and a few of these others where they can kind of go, I want that, I want that, I want that, and I don't want that, that, and that. And they're breaking it up. And that's probably where we're headed. I wouldn't want to own a lot of stock in cable or satellite TV right now. I don't know how they're going to be able to come back from all of this. But the thing is, the days of just going, hey, man, what's on? Let's turn on CBS. Oh, look, an NFL doubleheader. That's running out, I think. I'm not saying it's going to go away forever. And I don't know. The day they put the Super Bowl out for pay-per-view, it's really going to be a major test of the loyalty of the NFL fan. And will they ever do it?
And it's going to depend on the price point, too. I mean, come on.
Well, but how much do you charge for it? Or do you break it up into different channels? Hey, if you want the full 10-hour experience, pay $119. If you just want to watch the game, you can't tune in until the national anthem, and then you get it for $49.99. I don't know how they're going to do it, if they ever do it at all. But it's not in the near future. I don't think Roger Goodell is that crazy. But have they thought about it? The hell they haven't.
Oh yeah. It's like I was on a radio show this morning out of Hartford, Connecticut, talking about late night TV. And the one thing I forgot to bring up when they were talking about Conan O'Brien and all these other guys, Conan O'Brien made some crack about late night TV that eventually probably will go away. Well, my crack was, okay, they've gotten rid of Colbert. Kimmel is supposedly next. And the guy, Jimmy Fallon, who I don't watch at all.
The Tonight Show, but that's backed up by Lorne Michaels. That's a little bit different.
But what's going to replace the late night? Because every channel, whether it be the legacy channels, the networks, or cable, has late night something or another on. So if they get rid of those 3 shows or others, what's going to replace it? Is it going to be AI? Stuff is going to replace it.
I don't know what they would do in that situation. And to be honest with you, those 3 guys, if they wanted to, can just go running over to the
Comedy Channel.
No. I think they would be running to Netflix and places like that.
Well, that's where Colbert's going. He's going back to the Comedy Channel to work with Dave with Jon Stewart.
Well, yeah, but Comedy Central doesn't have a big audience anymore.
No, it's true.
You've got to get on a streaming service. I mean, you look at what Netflix and all this has done for comedy, and I know you were involved in that, and you know a lot of people who are involved in it, and they did it the old-fashioned way. But now, it's if you don't have a Netflix special or an Amazon special, that's where it's at. And then all of a sudden you find yourself not headlining a 200-seat club and listening to the clink of dinner glasses while you're trying to do your material, but you're headlining a 2,500-seat theater instead and making a hell of a lot more money.
Yeah.
That's the pathway now. It's gone from, hey, I'm on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, everybody's going to talk about
Not
me,
anymore.
I've got an audience of 30 million, to, hey, I'm on Netflix and I've signed for 3 specials and I'm going to make X amount of dollars on those specials, and hopefully then I can profit on a tour on the back of these specials because people will have seen them.
Yep.
Most of the younger comics have done it that way. There's still a few legacy guys like Seinfeld. Well, he doesn't have to work, but he does.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing that's going to happen with televised sports. Brent, Phyllis, and Irv are on at 12:30. No. It's now going to be Brent, Phyllis, and Irv are on this streaming channel, and then what's happening? Well, wait a minute. The game I want to watch is on another streaming channel. That's where we're headed, and we're actually kind of already there. Yeah,
basically. By the way, John Fogelsong is coming on next month. He was on my show last month when you were doing the PBA stuff. And he's Richie Medervini, Craig's brother, was on, and I'm going to try to get them both on here.
Yeah. I mean, Richie, I've met Richie. John, I know the name, but it's interesting how that's changed. And there's big money for the guys who can do it. I mean, just the other day at the Hard Rock, Gabriel Iglesias played to a sold out. That's 7,500 seats. That guy played Dodger Stadium. All right,
that's my buddy. Yeah.
Comedian at a baseball stadium. So and he's funny. No, he's very good.
When he got started.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm much older than him, and he got started after I had left LA, but I heard about him for years and years and years. And then I met him in Chicago at one time, and he was doing some of the comedy club stuff, but he took off. He started doing stadiums and stuff like that. And it's like,
he's crushing it. He's absolutely crushing it. So, but all these things are changing. We have to decide if we're going to adapt or just fade away. Right now, I'm not quite ready to fade away, but I also don't know if I want to shell out a lot of money to watch these other sports. How important is that in my life? Already, I'll be blunt with you, Gary. The turmoil in college football over the last few years, especially with the constant adjustment for the playoffs, has been a major turnoff for me anyway. And I'm not saying that I'll never watch that. No, it's not going to get to that point. But is it as essential? And this is part of my job, is to do this, is to keep up.
Yeah.
When I'm writing for the playbook. But it's like, what are we doing here? So it's.
We got to leave it at that.
Yeah, I guess we will.
We have to
some other time.
We'll do it next time, which we'll talk about on Wednesday. I want to thank Dave LaMont for joining us. You and Jennifer have a good time up in Washington. The Kennedy
oddly
clan
enough, going to no, there's nothing left of the Kennedy clan except
the nut one.
So oddly enough, going to a football game tonight. Strangely enough, for something I haven't done in Washington since I was 14 years old.
Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, Dave. I appreciate it very much. I'll be talking to you in a couple of days. And to all of you out there, thank you very much. Tommy said, thank you so much for taking time to produce this show. And to all of you out there, take care of yourselves and bye-bye for now.